What if I told you that the Christmas traditions we hold so dear, trees, lights, gift giving, and even the date itself, have little to do with Christianity or the birth of Jesus? What if beneath the twinkling lights and holiday cheer lies a fascinating tale of ancient pagan rituals, gods like Odin and Saturn, and solstice celebrations that predate Christianity by centuries? Welcome to another journey into the arcane and the hidden with Occult Mysterium. Let us delve into the true essence of Christmas. What does it truly mean? Is it a sacred celebration, a time for family, or perhaps just a commercial spectacle? Tonight, we peel back the layers of tinsel and tradition to uncover the fascinating and often forgotten origins of this holiday. Prepare to explore ancient connections, mysterious rituals, and the profound transformations that brought us to the Christmas we know today. It's going to be a journey through light, shadow, and centuries of tradition. Before there was a Christmas tree or the exchange of presents, before there were Christmas carols or festive diners, December was a time of profound significance for many ancient cultures. For thousands of years, people have celebrated the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, as a turning point in the natural world. For the ancients, the winter solstice was a time of great power. It marked the point at which the sun, which had seemed to retreat farther away from the earth with each passing day, would finally begin to return, signaling the renewal of life. It was a time of hope, of light returning after a long period of darkness. In the ancient world, this return of the light was celebrated with festivals, feasts, and rituals that were deeply tied to the cycles of nature. These celebrations were not about the birth of Christ, but about the renewal of life, the cosmic promise that the sun would soon grow stronger and the days would lengthen. Interestingly, the date of December 25th, now celebrated as the birth of Christ, has no scriptural basis. Most scholars agree that this date was not chosen because of any biblical evidence, but because it coincided with ancient pagan festivals. These festivals celebrated the winter solstice and were part of a larger tradition of honoring the sun and the forces of nature. When Christianity spread across Europe, church leaders co-opted many of these ancient festivals, reinterpreting them in a Christian light and weaving them into the fabric of the Christian calendar. One of the most important and extravagant festivals of ancient Rome was Saturnalia, a celebration held in honor of Saturn, the god of time, agriculture, and liberation. Saturnalia began on December 17th and continued for several days, often culminating in a wild, carnival-like atmosphere. During Saturnalia, social norms were turned upside down, slaves were temporarily freed and allowed to feast and celebrate alongside their masters. The roles of master and servant were temporarily reversed, creating a temporary equality between the classes. Feasts, revelry, and merry-making were central to Saturnalia. It was a time of abundance and joy, with people exchanging gifts, decorating their homes with wreaths and garlands, and lighting candles to honor Saturn. The holiday was also marked by sacrifices, both human and animal, that were made to appease the god and ensure the prosperity of the coming year. The idea of giving gifts during Saturnalia was not simply an exchange of material goods, but a symbolic act designed to bring good fortune and blessings for the year ahead. The tradition of decorating homes with greenery, such as wreaths and garlands, can be traced back to Saturnalia. In fact, the practice of hanging evergreens, including mistletoe, around the home was a gesture of hope and renewal, signaling the return of life and vitality after the long winter months. This tradition was later absorbed into Christmas customs, and today we decorate our homes with garlands and mistletoe, continuing the ancient practice of honoring the life-giving forces of nature. Saturnalia was a festival of both joy and reflection, a time to celebrate abundance and reflect on the balance between life and death. In many ways, it mirrors the spirit of Christmas, a time to celebrate the return of light and life, even as we acknowledge the darkness that surrounds us. In the frosty lands of the Norse, the Yule celebration was another festival steeped in deep symbolism and ancient mythology. The Norse people celebrated the rebirth of the sun during the winter solstice with a festival known as Yule, which later became intertwined with Christmas traditions. Yule was a time of great feasting and merriment, and it was marked by the lighting of great bonfires to symbolize the return of the sun. The Yule log, a large piece of wood that was burned throughout the Yule season, became a symbol of warmth, light, and the promise of the sun's return. One of the central figures in Norse mythology is Odin, the All-Father, who played a significant role in the Yule celebrations. According to legend, Odin rode through the skies during the Yule season with a procession known as the Wild Hunt. This ghostly procession, which often took place on the longest nights of the year, was said to be accompanied by howling winds and the sounds of hooves in the sky. Odin, the wise and mysterious god, was believed to reward the good and punish the wicked during the Yule season, an idea that echoes in modern Christmas traditions. Odin's bearded visage, his journey across the winter skies, and his association with gifts and rewards are all elements that found their way into the creation of Santa Claus. In fact, the modern figure of Santa Claus bears many similarities to Odin, from his long white beard to his ability to traverse the skies in a single night. The Yule festival was also a time for honoring the dead. Ancestors were remembered, and their spirits were invited to join in the celebrations. The tradition of gathering with family and loved ones during the Yule season echoes this ancient practice, as we come together to honor both the living and the dead during the holiday season. While Christmas is often associated with joy, generosity, and light, there's another side to the holiday, the darker side. Enter Krampus, the terrifying counterpart to Saint Nicholas in Germanic folklore. Krampus is a horned, fanged creature who is said to punish misbehaving children during the holiday season. Krampusnacht, or Krampus Night, takes place on December 5th, and it is a time when Krampus roams the streets, dragging chains and carrying a birch rod with which he is said to punish naughty children. In some traditions, Krampus even kidnaps misbehaving children and takes them away to his lair. This dark, fearsome figure serves as a reminder that there is a balance between light and darkness, joy and punishment in the holiday season. Krampus represents the shadow aspect of Christmas, those elements of the season that are often hidden behind the festive cheer. He reminds us that not all aspects of life are filled with light and happiness, and that sometimes punishment and fear are necessary components of growth and transformation. Today, Krampus continues to be celebrated in some parts of Europe, where Krampus parades take place and revelers dress up as the fearsome figure. The parades are a modern manifestation of the ancient tradition of Krampusnacht, as they serve as a reminder of the deep, mysterious undercurrents that run through the holiday season. In Slavic countries, another figure reigns over the winter season, Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost. Ded Moroz is a figure of ancient origins, predating Christianity in the region. He's a winter spirit, both feared and revered, who brings gifts to children during the New Year celebrations. He's often accompanied by his granddaughter, Sneguroshka, who assists him in delivering presents. Ded Moroz is not just a jolly gift giver though. He's a powerful and commanding figure, capable of both blessing and punishing. In ancient times, Ded Moroz was associated with the forces of winter, and he could bring either abundance or hardship depending on his mood. The figure of Ded Moroz reflects the blending of pagan and Christian traditions, much like other Christmas figures. As Christianity spread across Eastern Europe, Ded Moroz became a more benevolent figure, similar to Santa Claus. But his origins in Slavic paganism give him a mystic and depth that extends beyond the modern, commercialized version of Christmas. Ded Moroz is a reminder that winter, like Christmas itself, is a time of duality, of both harshness and warmth, of both endings and new beginnings. Saint Nicholas, a 4th century bishop from Myra in what is now modern-day Turkey, has a fascinating and transformative story. Known for his boundless generosity, Saint Nicholas became a central figure in the Christianization of Christmas. His deeds, particularly those involving secret gift giving to those in need, were seen as acts of divine charity. His most famous story tells of a poor man with 3 daughters. Lacking a dowry for his daughters, the father feared they would be sold into servitude. Moved by compassion, Saint Nicholas secretly dropped gold coins through the family's window at night, providing a dowry for the daughters and ensuring their future. This act of kindness set the foundation for the modern tradition of gift-giving during the holiday season. However, the figure of Saint Nicholas did not remain static in Christian tradition. Over centuries, his legend merged with other regional figures, each contributing new layers to his persona. In the Netherlands, the figure of Sinterklaas emerged. Sinterklaas, a regal figure clad in bishop's robes, arrived on the night of December 5th, rewarding good children with gifts and reprimanding the naughty. The Dutch colonists brought this figure to America in the 18th century, where Sinterklaas eventually evolved into Santa Claus, the jolly, rotund figure we recognize today. In Britain, the figure of Father Christmas emerged as a counterpart to Saint Nicholas. Though he was more secular and often associated with winter festivals rather than specifically Christmas, by the 19th century, these various figures, Saint Nicholas, Sinterklaas, Father Christmas, began to converge into the modern Santa Claus through the contributions of writers and illustrators like Clement Clark Moore and Thomas Nast. The red-suited, white-bearded figure that has since become a global icon was further popularized by Coca-Cola's holiday advertising campaigns in the 1930s. But why do we exchange gifts during this holiday? The tradition of gift-giving can be traced back to ancient rituals, especially during the winter solstice festivals. Offerings to gods, spirits, and ancestors were made to secure blessings and abundance in the coming year. What we now call presents under the tree began as tributes to the forces of nature, a symbolic act to honor deities like Saturn, Odin, and others who governed prosperity and the cycles of life and death. In the pagan world, offerings of food, drink, and precious objects were thought to ensure the good favor of the gods for the coming year. This ancient custom eventually merged into the Christian practice of giving gifts to celebrate the birth of Christ, which echoes the earlier tradition of giving to both divine and human benefactors. The Christmas tree, as we know it today, is one of the most iconic symbols of the holiday season, but its origins lie deep in the forests of ancient pagan traditions where evergreen trees were revered as a symbol of life, vitality, and resilience against the harshness of winter. For early European cultures, the evergreen tree was a sacred symbol of renewal, standing as a statement to the continuity of life even as the world around it seemed to wither and die in the cold months. The evergreen was a reminder that death was not final, that life could and would return with the coming spring. Pagans often decorated these trees with offerings to the spirits of the forests, the gods of the seasons, and the spirits of their ancestors. The act of decorating an evergreen tree was not merely for beauty, but to honor these spirits and to ensure protection and good fortune in the coming year. These offerings might include ribbons, fruits, nuts, and other symbols of fertility and abundance. The Yule log itself, a central part of ancient Yule celebrations, would be brought into homes during the solstice and burned as a tribute to the gods, while a portion of the log might be saved to kindle the fire the following year. The Christmas tree, central to modern holiday decor, has its origins in ancient tree worship. Evergreen trees, which remain lush and green throughout winter, were revered as symbols of immortality. For the Druids, the tree was a representation of the Axis Mundi, the world tree that connects the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Decorating the tree with lights and baubles recalls ancient practices of adorning sacred trees with offerings to deities. As Christianity spread through Europe, many of these pagan customs were absorbed and reinterpreted, and the decorated tree became a central feature of Christmas. In fact, the modern tradition of decorating the Christmas tree can be tracked back to the 16th century in Germany, where people would place candles on their trees to symbolize the light returning to the world with the rebirth of the sun. This tradition spread across Europe and eventually to America. Today, each bauble, ornament, and string of lights on the tree carries echoes of these ancient rituals. It is a reminder that life endures even in the darkest seasons, and that hope can always be found in the depths of winter. The Christmas tree, like the evergreen itself, symbolizes not only the return of light, but also the resilience and the renewal inherent in the cycles of nature. The Christianization of pagan festivals was a deliberate act of cultural adaptation. By the 4th century, the Roman Empire, under Constantine, sought to unify its diverse population under Christianity. Adopting December 25th as the birth date of Christ, aligned with existing solstice celebrations like Saturnalia and the cult of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, ensuring that converts could continue their familiar traditions under a new theological framework. Interestingly, early Christians did not celebrate Christ's birth, focusing instead on his death and resurrection. The decision to emphasize Christmas was less about historical accuracy and more about symbolic resonance. The nativity story, rich in astrological imagery with its Star of Bethlehem, echoes older myths of divine birth and cosmic alignments. As Christianity began to spread across Europe, the Church encountered a vast array of winter solstice celebrations deeply ingrained in the cultures of the peoples they sought to convert. From Saturnalia in Rome to Yule in the north, these festivals were not only social but spiritual, celebrating the rebirth of the sun and honoring the natural cycles of life, death, and renewal. Christianity faced a challenge: how to convert these pagan peoples without erasing their beloved traditions. The solution, rather than outright suppression, was adaptation. Church leaders co-opted these existing festivals and reinterpreted them through the lens of Christian theology. By declaring December 25th as the birth of Christ, the Church effectively usurped the winter solstice celebrations, which had long been a time for celebrating the birth of the sun. This was no coincidence. December 25th was the date of the Roman festival of Sol Invictus, celebrating the unconquered sun. By aligning Christ's birth with this festival, the Church hoped to unify the people under one celebration that honored both the birth of Jesus and the return of the sun. This blending of traditions was a deliberate strategy to ease the transition from paganism to Christianity. The incorporation of familiar customs like feasting, decorating, and gift-giving allowed for a smoother assimilation of Christian teachings, while still maintaining a sense of continuity with the past. Even now, when you light a candle or place a star atop your tree, you're participating in rituals that stretch back millennia to the earliest human reverence for light and the return of the sun. The Christmas star, representing the Star of Bethlehem, mirrors the ancient reverence for the celestial light that guided humanity through the dark night. At its core, Christmas is not just a celebration of a historical event, but a deep, mystical reflection on the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The season is a time when the natural world undergoes a profound transformation. The darkest days of winter, with their long nights, and the shortest days, symbolize the nadir of our collective spiritual journey. Yet, within this darkness, there is the promise of light. Christmas is on a metaphysical level a celebration of this transformation, the triumph of light over darkness, both in the heavens and within ourselves. Certain foods are central to Christmas. Pomegranates, for example, symbolize fertility and the eternal cycle of life and death. Every bite, every toast, is a ritual in its own right, connecting us to the rhythms of nature and the shared history of humanity. Christmas isn't just a single story. It's a mosaic of cultures, beliefs, and practices. It's a celebration of survival, of community, and hope. Each tradition, whether pagan, Christian, or secular, adds depth to this holiday's rich tapestry. As you celebrate this season, take a moment to reflect, light a candle, and think of the sun's return. Hang an ornament, and remember the resilience of the evergreen. Share a gift and honor the spirit of generosity. Christmas is more than a holiday. It's a timeless dance of light and dark, joy and reflection. Thank you for exploring its mysteries with me, here at Occult Mysterium. Until next time, may your days be filled with wonder, warmth, and glory.